To Fresh Air Community Radio, KFAI 90.3 FM, Minneapolis, and around the world at KFAI.org. 79 degrees here at the corner of Cedar and Riverside in Minneapolis. And being 1 o'clock and being Tuesday, it means it's time to speak with Al McFarlane and conversations with Al McFarlane. Mr. McFarlane, are you there?
I am here. How you doing, Mason?
Good to hear you. Good to see you. Good to see
Likewise.
Yeah, quite a conversation we got loaded up over here. I see a lot of folks ready. I'm going to hand it right on over to you in your remote studio there.
Thank you, my friend.
Mhm.
Good afternoon. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. Today is Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. And it's a day that I normally connect with artists locally and sometimes around the world, talking about art, culture, talking about creativity, about our genius, talking about our version of what the world has been and what it can be, what role we play in creating a world, an environment, a planet that is a place where we win, where our people win. So that's kind of the idea. I'm pleased to have today friends, I call them companions, who I've worked with over a long period of time in the world of arts. Some are here now, some will join us in the next few minutes. I want to begin, though, by acknowledging my co-conspirator here, Brenda Lyle Gray, the columnist for Inside News, who joins us from New Mexico. She's with me every day, 5 days a week, when we do this program, the Tuesday program today, obviously, including live on here, KFAI. But otherwise, we're streaming to Facebook and YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Every day, 5 days a week, connecting with different voices and energies and ideas in our community, trying to create a story, a narrative that, as I said before, presents a tale that reveals our people as the winners in this story. And I say that with a smile because winning might not be what traditional social structures call winning. Can we configure the notion of winning differently? In my mind, winning means a system, a process that results in a balanced, nuanced approach to existence that is guided by a sense of justice, a sense that each and every human being can live with and move towards self-realization and fulfillment without that being at the expense of other human beings, where each of us can also live in harmony with the environment, with histories, and with futures that, in effect, all are expansions of the powerful and beautiful moment of right now. So with that, let me say hi to my friend and colleague, Brenda Gray. First of all, hi, how you doing, Brenda?
How are you?
Good to
Mr.
see you.
Caldwell, Mr. Walker, greetings.
Greetings to you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to also introduce a couple of other people in the studio here. I see my friend Pete Rhodes is here. Pete, how you doing, man?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me, Al.
Thank you for being here. And I see brother, I think it's Brother Shedji is here. Is that it? Yeah, that's him. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. And let me add one more voice, Brother Dr. Jim Stewart, who's a retired professor of history at McAllister College. And we're about to do something that's phenomenal, I believe. And we sort of want to introduce it today, or at least begin the discussion. But let me start today with going to Brother Charles Caldwell. Charles, before I bring up the guest in, you and I were talking about something you've got going on this weekend. There's a lot going on this weekend, but you've got a particular project happening Saturday. Why don't you introduce that project, Charles Caldwell?
Yes, hi everybody. Everybody that's listening and on the show today. So the project that I've got going on is been working on it for about a year now. It's called a Bouquet of Humanity, and it has been. This project is going to take place at 1601 Nicollet, which is a building facing south. The Freeway 94 crosses right there, and so this canvas has been selected for me to create a mural inspired by the Bouquet of Humanity, which is what the witnesses of the George Floyd trial were seen as a bouquet of humanity, because they were people of different ages, genders, cultures, nationalities, and in effect around the world. So this mural will honor those people who were affected by it from the inner space of their humanity. And so I'm pretty excited about it, as the community is as well. This Saturday, we will be having a launch of the project, and it is compiling of different sponsors with support from the city and different organizations in the area, as well as Rayito del Sol, who provided the wall space for the mural. There'll be some gardening, flowers and trees being planted. I think that we're going to, Alan Page is going to be one of our supporters, helpers that's going to be there this Saturday. This is going to take place at 1601 Nicollet Avenue, South Minneapolis at 10 a.m. This Saturday morning. So if you're able to be there, we certainly love to have you there to find out more about the project and be supportive of it.
Charles, thank you, man. Hang out with me for the hour, man. We got a lot of good stuff going on. This week is really loaded with great things happening culturally, I think spiritually and otherwise. The Juneteenth is being celebrated. It's also June, Black Music Month. Downtown Minneapolis is kind of a wash in purple, the spirit of purple, because of the presence, the work, the birthday celebration of Prince Rogers Nelson. One of the people that's been instrumental in elevating, expanding awareness, consciousness, and engagement around music and art and culture is my friend Pete Rhodes. Pete, brother, good to see you. How you doing? You got a reinvention or update of the historic and phenomenal Black Music Awards agenda unfolding this week and next. Talk about that if you would. Welcome, first of all. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, Al. Thank you, and Caldwell and Don Walker as well. And of course, our friend Shed G. Brenda, thank you for having us, as well as Jim. We are excited about the presentation, really celebrating 40 years since the start of the Minnesota Black Music Awards in June of 1982. And this weekend coming up of June 11th and 12th, our host Shed G will help usher in 40 years of recognizing, promoting, preserving Black music artists here in the Twin City area. It'll be our first ever live broadcast, available on our website, our TV website. We own and operate as well a cable TV channel on the Comcast system, Black Music America, and individuals will be able to find that program live 2 hours at blackmusicamerica.com this Saturday and Sunday. We're just excited about being here, Al. You alumni of the program over the years, as well as helped to promote the music and the arts here in the Twin City area. And without Black press like yourself, we wouldn't be here today celebrating 40 years. So thank you so very much. And we hope everyone will get a chance to tune in and see what's happening for the Minneapolis Sound Recognition on the 11th and the 12th. We followed up with Salute to the Sounds of Blackness, Sounds of Gospel. And it's all live 5 to 7 p.m. at blackmusicamerica.com.
Amazing. You've got a great story to tell about music and creativity in Minnesota. As you reflect on where things were when you and I started back, a lifetime ago, and they continue to evolve, what kind of thoughts come to your mind?
Well, right now, what's so important for me, and I'm excited about it, is the fact that the music continues. We have individuals that will be a part of this program who are, I don't call them the next generation, I call them the now generation. Folks like Ashley DeBose and Chadwick Niles Phillips, a hip hop artist and teacher here. Of course, Ashley was a finalist on The Voice. Others like Ryan Bynum, who is the music director of the program for all 4 presentations, and others like them will be in Illism. I gotta throw Illism in there. So there's a whole new crop of new artists that are carrying the torch of the Minneapolis sound. I was asked today by another reporter who had a comment from an individual at a recent celebration of Prince, and the comment was, Do we look at Minneapolis now as the city where Prince is from, or the city where George Floyd died? And it was such a deep reflection of where we are in our country and where we are in this world. The reporter reflected back that it's a city of change. And I thought that was interesting that we are a city of change. It's the first place police officers have gotten convicted of killing Black people. But at the same time, now we look at this new audience, new talent, new things that are happening in the Twin Cities, like what Brother Caldwell is doing downtown. Those types of things help us to keep the music alive, keep the arts alive. And as we all know, music brings everybody together, and there's no better time than now for the celebration of the 40th year of the Minnesota Black Music Awards.
Sure, G, jump in, man. How you doing? Good to see you.
Man, I'm just excited to be on here with a bunch of legends. I'm sitting here reading names like, oh my God, I'm here with some legends, brother Caldwell, brother Rhodes, McFarlane, everybody, man. How y'all doing?
We're all doing well. How are you doing?
Good.
So tell me your part in the celebration of Black music and Black culture, not only here, but your part in the world, because you've been doing this work, elevating Black culture, the Black experience, the legacy, and projecting an outcome that reflects our idea of who we are in the world. So talk about that.
Well, first, man, I just like to thank Brother Pete Rhodes, who I've always felt was like a mentor, living legend, because doing the things that I've done in the industry of, having my own television show in Atlanta on public access and everything, but just to get the call to fly back to do this for Minneapolis it's a no-brainer. And BMA was always a big part of Minneapolis sound and just different things. I did my research before I got there, and BMA pulled up, and I was able to look at the information and just see. And I've toured all over the world and lived in a lot of places, and everybody always talk about Atlanta, New Orleans, when it comes to New York, when it comes to music. And I tell them, I said, man, before there was Atlanta or New Orleans, there was Minneapolis, because I'm a music head, and to have like the Family and the Jets and Prince, of course, Alexander O'Neal. I mean, it's like it's such a blessing to be able to live there and be a part of the situation what Minneapolis has. And this is coming from somebody who's not born there. And just to live there and to see, and one of the coolest things and saddest things that I got to experience is when Prince unfortunately was taken from us, was to be there. It was different to be a fan and be there, but then to be there when you're around family members and people that grew up with him, that hit me harder, because I was such a fan. But then I had to realize, he even though he was a star, he had family and friends that loved him, and just so much different things that was there. So to be a part of that was just amazing. And I always tell everybody, man, Minnesota is one of the best places for music. And just like she said, just like Brother P. Rose said, Ashley DeBose, Chadwick, Illism. You have a lot of people, even with the gospel, Javante Patton, Darnell Davis, James Greer. And these are people that are known outside of Minnesota. And that's the crazy part, that a lot of times people think that just because you're known in your hometown, you're not known nationally. Everybody know about all those artists that I was speaking of, because that's some of the things when I do tour and travel. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I was in Minneapolis. Oh, do you know James Greer? Cassie Davis. We filmed Medea's reunion, and she was like, have you talked to James? And it's just an impact of what Minneapolis has done. Also with the George Floyd situation, just like Pete Rose said, people don't understand the impact of everything that Minneapolis has done, not just on just everybody, the whole world, not just the nation, the world.
Great. Listen, thank you for being here, and thank you for those comments. Hang out. We're going to have it's unscripted. And this is a conversation between brothers and sisters, the one sister here being Brenda Lau. Others may join us, but Brenda, jump in when you want to. I have been talking with Donald Walker, who is another great artist here in Minnesota, an illustrator who from time to time has covers for our newspaper, Inside News. And through Donald, I met by telephone, and now for the first time in person, Dr. Jim Stewart, who is a professor of history, retired from McAllister College. And I wanted to bring both of you in. Donald, first of all, just to say hello to you. Thank you for all you do, your vision as an artist. What are you working on right now? And one of the things I want you and Dr. Stewart to talk about is the initiative called AHA. It sounds exciting, and I want to know what it means, what it stands for, and where it's going to go. So, Donald, first of all, good afternoon. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I am just delighted to be a part of a group that Dr. Stewart put together, and it's 4 artists. It's Beverly Tipton Hammond, and it's Andrew Hammond, and it's Kennedy Simpson. And we go with the name AHA, which means artistry, honesty, healing, and action. And we had a show at the White Bear Center for the Arts in White Bear. And it was just, it was phenomenal. A lot of people were there. And what we was trying to do is introduce our culture, our history, and our art to the suburbs. We were bringing the truth. And we needed someone that really had the history, know the history. I mean, this brother, Dr. Stewart, he can take you back, real back, and it's the truth. And we were able to put a show that really displayed, you couldn't go around it. You had to, look at it and really study what we have experienced and the history behind it. And that's where we want to kind of like take on the road with out in the different suburbs of what you want to call it again, the healing of what's going on. What I'm doing now, all of us have different sections. It's like the talented 4, you got the Army, you got the Navy, you got the Marines, and the Air Force. And my part, I'm exploring art with gun violence, and just because I'm a news artist. My background is drawing for newspapers, and I've just been blessed to dictate what's going on in our communities. And I'm, like I said before, I have a history guru who can back me up. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I'm in full steam of getting the message out that our people, have to bring this to light. We got to bring the truth behind it and skip all this insane talk that we see on TV, but we got to visually expose the truth about the gun violence that's going on in our community.
I'm trying to share your cover, a recent cover that you did for Inside News. Are you able to see it?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, talk about that cover in particular. I mean, you have to describe it in a way that people on radio can imagine it in their eyes, but those who are on social media can see it as you're talking about it.
Okay, what I've created was young people, Afro-American boys and a girl, but the 2 young boys are holding, one is holding an automatic piece, and the other one is holding a Glock. And they're just kind of like showing off the type of weapons that they can get their hands on. And inside those weapons, instead of showing the detail of the guns, I'm saying to the people in the community, if you see something, say something. if you see kids with guns, or if you have children in your home storing guns or hiding guns or having them, expose them. I mean, it's time we have to deal with this reality that our people are in a bad way of destroying ourselves. And we have to get to our young people and show them that there's another way. And the young girl that's in the picture with them, she's saying SOS, we got to do something. We're at this point where we got to execute. I mean, I would love to draw, nice pictures, beautiful pictures. We've done that before, but my environment won't let me. In fact, I'm gonna give you a fact. This past Saturday, I live in a community where there's at least 15 young people on my block. Some guys drove up and fired off 40 rounds of bullets. 4 of them hit my home.
Wow.
And 2 came into the garage. 1 hit my car, tore off the roof. This is the first time I experienced this close. And I was in the house, just enjoying the day. And all of a sudden I hear all these rounds going. And, I don't want to make this a negative thing, but it's a reality thing. And we have to deal with it. Our people, we have to heal first. We heal first, then we can do whatever we need to do to move forward. But there's a major healing that has to take place. And I want to, blow out that we have to do something, because this is out of hand and we can't depend on other people to tell all these. You almost think you're looking at a Bugs Bunny cartoon movie when you hear our leaders speak. It's just insane. You're wondering if you're in Looney Tunes. So we have to get a hold of this sickness and deal with it. And through my art, that's what I'm committed to. But like I say, it's some great artists that Dr. Stewart put together, and we're going to move forward on it.
Thank you for that. Let me just share with you. You're not alone. I mentioned on this program before that where I'm sitting right now, sitting in my studio in my home, in my dining room. I've converted it to our remote studio, and right behind me, you see the stained glass. Well, outside of the stained glass is my backyard and the alley behind my garage. And I was sitting here one evening, just maybe a month or so ago, and around 6 o'clock, and all of a sudden hear this huge sounded like my building, my house was breaking in two. I didn't associate the sound with gunfire because it wasn't like dot, 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 or pop, 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 pop. It was like one big crackle, huge, and it seemed just outside of my ears. But that's why I thought it was maybe something in the structure of the building, maybe a beam or shifting for what it shouldn't have been, but I couldn't imagine. Then in a matter of minutes, after I checked on my wife upstairs, and we're both okay, both wondering what it was, came back downstairs and looked out and saw a squad out in the alley by my house. And what happened there, same thing that happened to you. Somebody pulled up in back of my garage in the alley and dumped a magazine of bullets, I'm presuming in the sky. None of my property or my neighbor's properties were hit, but there was a whole slew of shell casings in the alley, and the cops were collecting them, asking, did anybody see or hear anything? And nobody did. But it's unsettling, and it drives the point home that no matter where we are, Donald, we've got to think differently about how we are allowing, or at least not paying attention to, the potential for our own people, our own households, to be involved in activity that disserve the individuals involved in it, but also endanger the entire community. Jim Stewart, jump in here. Thank you, Dr. Stewart, for being here, and talk about the proposition number one. But as a historian, you've looked at the question of violence probably against our community,
Mhm.
and in our community over a long period of time. In fact, let me show something that I'm reading now. This is a book called Holy Warriors, and the subtitle is The Abolitionist and American Slavery by Dr. James Brewer Stewart. Thank you for writing the book. I'm reading it. It's a great read. I hope to write a review on it when I finish reading it, but
Thank you.
having you here to talk about it yourself directly.
Well, okay. First of all, I have to thank you for just letting me in here. I mean, this is something I've never tried before. I've done a lot of video conferencing, but watching a spontaneous radio program make the community that I don't live in emerge in a way that I can begin to understand it is something really important. And as you can tell from the statement that I just made, I'm interested in trying to make better white folks. I am an emissary back to my own community, and I've been that way for a long, long time. And how I got to this is a long story, but we don't need to tell it now. The story that needs to be told right now happened at Golden Time. How long ago, Donald? Maybe
About
6 months?
6 months. Yeah, about 6 months.
Okay, 6 months ago, I'm in Golden Time and I'm talking to Michael Wright. And all of a sudden, this skinny guy shows up with a big canvas with a drape over it because he's trying to keep it from being damaged. And, you know, it's about a yard wide and a yard high. And I can't see what it is, so I ask him, and that's Donald. And he takes the shroud off of this picture. And all of a sudden, I saw something that I never, ever, ever seen before, which is a statement in vision, put on whatever it is, canvas, whatever, of a problem in American history as African-American people have experienced it since 1787. His study of the Constitution, which I hope you can see sometime, is the equivalent of 100 books. It says what needs to be said about the relationship between the Constitution, white supremacy, slavery, capitalism, lots of other stuff. And 90 seconds after I saw this work of art, I bought it. And since then, I've been buying Donald's art because it speaks to me. And the reason it speaks to me, and the reason why all these artists speak to me so much, is a confirmation of a fact that I've always known. And that is that white people are very bad at remembering their past. They're not interested. White people have a tendency, and I'm sorry I'm making generalizations, but we all talk about the historical amnesia of the United States. So there. The idea is always you're looking forward. You're always explaining what's going on. You're trying to figure out what you're going to do next. A lot of it is individualistic. A lot of it has to do with performance. A lot of it has to do with upward mobility and dreams of the future. And what I see in all these artists is something quite different than that. I get confirmation of what I've known for a long time is that African-American people are our nation, along with Native American people, are our nation's best historians. And the reason why that is that there's no choice but to remember. Historical memory in all of these pictures leads me directly to big, big pieces of American history that need explaining. And that can be explained a lot better by working through the art than it is by developing a reading list or reading my book, Holy Warriors, whatever you want. And the topics involved in African-American historical memory as they show up in Drew's work, in Beverly's work, in Donald's work, or in Kennedy's work, lead me immediately to be able to explain to other people like me, what actually made the memories that make these images possible. So the claim is not that I'm learning how to live in the African-American world. I'm not, and can't, and we all know why. But the idea that I can begin to understand how, for my own self, on my own terms, what African-American historical memory means in the present moment. That's something that's open to me to interpret, to understand, to talk to Donald about, to talk to all these artists about. And the net result is that AHA is this blending of artistry that goes to, well, another way to be able to talk about it is that on artistry plus history equals honesty. Because none of us can explain why we're in this god-awful mess unless we do many, many references that go all the way back to 1619, but have a history right here in Minneapolis, since that's what the focus of this particular program is, that needs to be talked about, that needs to be unveiled, that needs to be understood. And it goes far beyond the idea that somehow we're going to make a better police culture. There is so much else, and it's been written about, and there are oral testimonies to it, and people alive. One of the best moves I've ever made in my life back when I was at McAllister was that I hired Mahmoud El-Ghati, and this was in 1971. And Mahmoud is a perfect example of this blending of history and historical memory. And people like him who've lived in the city, but at the same time have this national and even international sense of how African American experience rolls out over time and comes into the present, is what really we should be able to capture, and is captured in the art. Now, I've talked a lot, so I'm going to stop.
Wonderful. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane, just talking with Dr. Jim Stewart, retired professor of history at McAllister College, the author of a book that I'm recommending, that I am reading. The book is called Holy Warriors, The Abolitionists and American Slavery. The author, again, is my guest, Dr. James Brewer Stewart. Doc, question that I ask myself and guests is towards what end? What does our activity, whatever it is, have to do with freeing us? What does history have to do? What's the role of history in the pursuit of freedom, of liberating human beings? And I say that with a criticism of European world views. I call it white supremacist thought that is afoot on the planet and has been for at least 500 to maybe 1,000 years. But I say, through my reading and my desire and intent and my intuition, that the change we are in is part of the natural evolution and devolution of a system, a way of knowing that is not sustainable, even though it may be appearing to be sustainable over 300, 500 years, but in the long arc of history and of time, not sustainable, and that what we do right now, what we say right now, contributes to the dismantling and the clearing of space for the emergence of a different way of seeing the world. What do you think?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Okay. No, you're quite right.
Jump in. Go ahead. You first, Jim Stewart.
Okay. No, what's happening in school systems where right-wingers are trying to suppress the history, where white academics tried to take apart the 1619 project. I mean, it's not just conservatives, it's people in the academy who have PhDs like I do and who consider themselves liberal. The push that we see now to suppress everything, I think, is evidence exactly of what Al's talking about, which is the dismantling of a way of knowing or a way of believing that basically comes from England to begin with, is involved with a bunch of people who thought in the 18th century about progress and enlightenment, gets into matters of revolution that get interrupted by other methods of revolution, like the Haitian one that nobody wants to know about, and helps to justify the occupation of an entire continent by taking people out of the way or subjugating them for capitalist purposes. And along with that is a big, big story about individual liberty, freedom, justice, all that stuff, which pertains to a lot of white people. In a lot of ways, this is a historical experience where white immigrants can look back to the 1880s, see their great-grandfathers, and see where they've come today. But that's a story that's rapidly being challenged all over the world, not just here, but in lots of places. If you go to Jamaica and you see what the reparations movement is about down there, that's about as close and direct an attack on the imperial way of looking at the world that you can think of. So I think our contributions are not to shout down white history, if that's what you want to call it, because shouting it down means you just shout. and you muzzle the talent of people like Donald. Attention is taken away from creative expressions of all kinds. Let me just put it this way. Donald has two pictures that I own. One is this one of the Constitution where there's this angry black figure standing out in front of Constitution Hall with the founding fathers dressed in white right behind him. Many of you have seen this, I hope. Have you seen it now?
Most of us own it.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, I own it too. And there's a new one coming out. Across my living room, so it speaks to it, is a completely different image that Donald has created of a guy who looks suspiciously like Miles Davis, with his t-shirt rolled up to all the way up to his ears practically. He's sitting on a map of the United States. Have you seen this one? If not, you have to. He's sitting in a plain wooden chair, and the horn of his trumpet is bent down over the map. And he's playing to the whole nation. And the caption underneath is, "We own this." Do you see how those two pictures talk to each other? And how you need to be able to fill up with both of those things. What you do to get a history to replace another history is to come in with something that's more, more revealing, not a cliche, more useful. And it seems to me that that's what those two pictures do. They invoke a conversation that doesn't get you all tied up with questions about policing and stuff like that right away. What you do is to talk about it, and that means you're talking about how you see yourself in relation to the person in conversation with you. So, yeah, the idea of dismantling this white view of the world that Al's been talking about is the project, and that's what I mean by making better white people.
Don, here's another one of your covers for Inside News. This one we headlined "Embrace Humanity," and there was I think a tribute to or announcement of a show that you were doing, presenting 20 mixed medium paintings, and talk about this particular image.
Okay, thank you for showing that. That piece, 4 young boys, which are all of them are my grandsons. And back then, when we had Christmas, all they was asking for is what's that? All the Walt Disney characters. And those were the images that were in their hands. And I said, boy, they suffering from the same identity crisis that I had, because I had Hopalong Cassidy and Superman, and they graduated to Buzz Lightyear and I forgot those people cartoon. But what I did, I twisted it. I put the Black Panther and brought in the Tuskegee Airmen, and even the medal that they got from the president, and put the Tuskegee Airmen plane in one of the boys' hands. And so I just wanted to bring out the identity crisis that is real. It's still real, and that's keeping history, keeping history away from the truth. Bringing it to our schools and letting our young people know what the truth really was. It's real important. I was teaching a class out in White Bear this week, and the young people, seniors, was asking me questions about the art, and you just be surprised what they don't know. I mean, it's a crime what the teachers are doing in the schools and what they're teaching our kids. We should be a lot more involved and make sure that they do get the information that's needed for them to move forward in life. And I just one of the questions were who was Coretta Scott King, and no one in the class, and there was about 20-something students, no one in the class knew who she was. One girl did say she's Martin Luther King's mother, and it's just it may sound simple, but it is very important information that is being missed in the classroom. So have an opportunity to bring some of this artwork to Insight. I thank you, Insight, for giving me those opportunities to do that. I take advantage of it, and I try and bring it to light so everyone can see the truth. That's what I call it, truth history with truth.
If I could say something about the classroom, and I applaud you as well, Donald, for your work. I'm proud to say that you are alumni as well. We've had your work shown at the at Minnesota Black Music Awards on some of our expos over the years, and
yes, thank you.
Continue to inspire us all with the work that you do around our people, our culture. For this Minnesota Black Music Awards as well, for the 40-year celebration, we're celebrating the youth in the class as well with supporting the High School for Recording Arts and the Diversity Media Institute over in St. Paul. We've had a tour of them coming by the studio recently, where these young students were looking at tools to change the narrative. As long as we can do what Al is doing in changing the narrative and providing a platform for individuals to see other things, other ways, other uses, then we can applaud their successes behind it. So we're going to applaud the success of the young people that we're showcasing around the now generation of the Minneapolis Sound, coming up this weekend on the 11th and 12th on blackmusicamerica.com. And as I listen to all of you, Dr. Stewart and others who talk about, my great friend Caldwell, who talk about the importance of not only seeing things in a different way, we hope that music, like it's always been said, can soothe the savage beast. And what other time is a great time than now for music and arts, as we are delivering this week for the music of Prince that the world is experiencing this month, for the music that we are recognizing in appreciation of the African American music that has helped make America a beacon of hope for others around the world. When the slaves first came here and moving forward, they brought that music, those instruments that has become the music of America. And we're so proud to have people like Shed G, who is supporting the program and hosting it, being an actor himself, playing Madea, the double for Tyler Perry and all the Madea movies, but also being a connoisseur of the music and hosting this program.
Yeah, and something else, Brother Rhodes, now I don't mean to jump in.
Go ahead.
Being like doing what I do, like a lot of people don't even know half of the stuff I do because I don't really speak on it or whatever. But then when they find out, but the one thing that I love is I host a lot of concerts and I go on tour. So I've been on tour with New Edition, one of my favorite groups. I went on tour for, I don't know if it's a tour, if it's 2 cities with Mint Condition. That's my favorite band of all time. But one thing that I see, like when I host a lot of these Mays and Frankie Beverly's in other cities and other states, the Vail Music Soul Fest, is that music is the unity of all. And that's what people don't understand. You can be riding, you can do whatever, fighting, mad, but if you go to a good concert, I just hosted Anita Baker before she went to Vegas. And I looked out in the audience and the diversity that's in the audience, that let me know and gave me hope also that sometimes people got to understand good music will bring people together to have a great time. And if you look back in the 60s and the 50s and the 70s, it's evident in what you see in everything from the James Brown era, from the Temptations, from just everybody. Prince is, now when you say Prince, you go to a Prince concert, man, we the minorities at a lot of places, being African American. And it's just a great thing to see how music can bring people together and the unity for it. And last but not least, it's so crazy how the music and just the scene brought people together, especially during the George Floyd era. How you had a lot of people making great music, bringing people together. And the best thing about it is that it's a new generation, because I know like everyone was talking about race, but the new generation is being able to make up their own mind, make up their own decisions, because of the older generation, they was taught certain things. But now with the social media and everything that's going on, you have an opportunity to make up your own mind and really see everything that's going on.
I popped up one of my favorite covers of Inside News, and to me, this image by Charles Caldwell's grandson speaks to the future, and it speaks to eternity. Brother Caldwell, listening to the conversation today, I wanted you to weigh in again on the power of creativity, the power of art. What I see in this image is, I said this before to Charles, a confidence, a determination, a sense of undeniable and unstoppable will to matter, to be one's self. And when I look at this photograph, this image, I see a young man who's got the tools of creation, of art in his hands. And what he's painting, creating, drafting, in my mind, is not simply a painting, but he's creating the world. And he's creating an eternity. And again, he sees and is drawing a world, a narrative in which we win. Charles Caldwell, talk about this picture if you would.
Yeah, this picture is actually a picture that my son Kenneth Caldwell presented to you. This is my grandson Gavin here, and it just says it all. It says that I'm going places, I know where I'm going, and I will make a way, not just for myself but for others. And he's about I think he's about 6 years old on this particular shot here, and just walk with that confidence, holding his tools properly, and holding his tools like he understands them. The work is going to be created with the tools that he has, and that's what it's up to us to provide our young people with the proper tools that they need to do the work that we are expecting of them, as well as us doing the work to lay the groundwork for them to have a way to go in.
Legacy is everything, and I'm pleased to have my friend and colleague, Deborah Watts, who's been a fearless and tireless and principled warrior for a truth that has changed the country and that changes humanity. All of you will remember and know, I'll tell you what I remember, Brenda, when my parents owned the grocery store on 28th in Brooklyn in Kansas City. I might have been 5th or 6th grade, maybe 7th grade, maybe 4th or 5th. I can't remember exactly when it was. But I remember the day they brought the Jet magazine into the store, and that Jet magazine cover showed the mutilated face of Emmett Till. This is Deborah Watts. She's the cousin of Emmett Till. She's leader of the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation. Her work, her persistence, her perseverance is such that she is demonstrating and showing how we can and how we must change and impact the world, starting with our own people, creating the idea that we can and that we have a right, we have a duty to stand up and to tell our truth, but doing it in a way that requires and demands that the entire world, that the universe acknowledge our truth. Deborah, good to see you, my friend. So good to see you, and congratulations again, and thank you for all you have been doing for your own family, but your family is our family, for humanity.
Thank you, Al. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
I don't know if everyone is suffering from the sinus and allergies or whatever, but I'm one of those. But thank you, and I just am honored to have this opportunity and to see some of my favorite people that are on your show talking about their craft and their contributions to the world as well, because art, music, creativity is everything that makes us live and gives us life. And so I think you were talking to maybe Donald Walker earlier. Donald on here? I couldn't really.
Yes, I'm here. Boss, honor to see you.
Yeah, honored to see you too. And I have always used our artists and have honored and have tried to collect their art. In fact, the picture right behind me is something that one of Donald's, talking about legacy, his nephews drew years ago. And so we try to exchange these images when we do Zooms and StreamYards, but that it, things come full circle, don't they?
Yes.
So always a privilege, to be here and having this opportunity. And I thank you for your kind words. Our family has been pushing forward, and the country has too, as it relates to getting justice for Emmett Till, because when we can push for justice, other families can continue to push too. It's been 67 years for us. August 28th. Emmett would be 81 on July 25th. So we have always used music. We have something called Music for Emmett, and art, in pushing our message forward as well. So thank you very much for having me today, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about some things that are coming up with the NAACP.
Go right into that. You're here in part to talk about the important upcoming events with the St. Paul branch of the NAACP. Go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, on June 18th would be the 109th anniversary of the St. Paul branch of the NAACP. It's a Roy Wilkins branch. It's historic. And they're having their Gala Freedom Fund event at the Intercontinental Hotel at St. Paul Riverfront. It's the Freedom Fund Gala. It is headed up by Naida Presley, who's the committee chair. And there are a number of other people that you all know and love that are working really hard to make this happen. And I happen to be on the executive committee and a member at large of the St. Paul chapter of the NAACP. But we're pleased to tell you that on June 18th from 5:30 to 11:30, they have planned this wonderful event. And they'll be featuring Angela Davis as the host, Chef Trey Hardy, an African-American chef who's going to prepare some wonderful meals for you. And then the guest speaker is going to be the Attorney General, Keith Ellison. He's going to bring the keynote message. But this meeting and this gala and this gathering is to bring the community together. We have had a lot of things that we've had to suffer through, whether it's police violence, protests, to the deaths of many loved ones. And so this is an opportunity to not only bring honor to those, but also give some awards to other people who have contributed in this fight and movement forward as well. So this is going to take place again on June 18th, 5:30, 11:30, St. Paul Riverfront Hotel. You can go to Eventbrite to get a ticket or buy a table. Also, if anyone's interested in sponsoring, I do have a number that you can call, and that's 763-238-1277. Again, NAACP has been a partner with many organizations, such as all the media organizations as well. And so we need you now. We've been there for you, and now we need you now to support this effort and to be there. Let's come together. Let's come together and make sure that we have a voice about what happens in our future. So I just
about the whole community, not just the Black community, but everybody.
Everybody, all organizations, because this is one of the oldest organizations around, and it was started by a diverse mix of individuals who came together and said, look, we need to make a difference here. This is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. That's what NAACP stands for. And I know that many organizations are pretty quiet. They don't keep their horns a lot. But I'll tell you, the St. Paul branch and the Minneapolis branch have been working really hard, particularly in both the Twin Cities areas and across the state and across the country. in pushing policy and initiatives forward. So again, it's time for unity. It's time to have a voice. And I believe the theme is our voice is our vote, because we know our elections are coming up and we all need to be a part of that. So if we show up there, I think it'll be a powerful representation of who we are and what we can do together.
Thank you, Deborah Watt. I was scrolling through my archives, and Pete, this one's for you. This is Black Music Month, and this is an article I think that ran in June of 2019. But I'm going to drop it out to you so you can describe to our people who are listening on the radio what you're looking at, this cover of Inside News, and take a minute again to bring us back to focus on Black Music Month and the Black Music Awards.
Well, that is an iconic cover, as all of Insight's covers are, changing the narrative. This one for Black Music Month, showing what was then Terry Lewis and Jelly Bean Johnson and a lot of the other, Cynthia Johnson from Funky Town, and a lot of other artists who have gone on to do great things and represent the state of Minnesota and indeed our country with great contributions in music and arts. And we're so proud of having all of them being a part of the program over the years, all of them being the alumni of the Minnesota Black Music Awards, as we celebrate 40 years of promoting, preserving, and recognizing the artists here in the Twin City area. And we're just thankful that we have the opportunity to do that this coming weekend, where they can watch it live for the first time ever. Due to COVID has changed a lot of things. And one of the things that it changed to make it for the better is an opportunity to allow us to come together around the world. And you can watch the Black Music Awards this weekend at blackmusicamerica.com. And I'm just thankful for Al McFarlane and his platform, the Black Media, for helping us to get the word out.
Well, great. Charles, let's remind people about your event this Saturday as well. Charles Caldwell. You have to unmute, Charles.
This Saturday at 10 a.m. at 1601 Nicollet Avenue. Come out and find out the progress and the idea and the plan for the Bouquet of Humanity mural. That's going to be on the south side of Rayito del Sol's building. Great canvas, great visibility. And it's just a mural that I'm inspired to create, just to hopefully people that get to experience it will feel some sort of healing, some sort of humanity. That's it's about us. It's about the people that felt the difference and lived the difference, and it's all about all of us. So hopefully you can come out and be supportive of this project.
I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane, coming to the close of today's program. I'm having so much fun just looking back over the covers of Inside News and talking to my guest in studio today, Pete Rhodes, presenting the updated Black Music Awards coming up. My colleague and partner here, Brenda Lau Gray, who's reporting, and a columnist for Inside News, Deborah Watt, with the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation, but here on behalf of the St. Paul NAACP, their events coming up. Brother Donald Walker, artist, and his colleague, Dr. Jim Stewart, with the AHA Project, and Charles Caldwell, a phenomenal and world-class artist, muralist here. I want to close with one more image that I think you'll appreciate, and Donald, this will be a surprise for you. This is one of your pieces that I think was powerful. And to me, it shows the impact and the purpose of art as an agent for change. Take a minute and talk about this cover. You remember that?
Yeah. That was.
So listen, people are on the radio, they can't see this. So you got to describe so the person listening can see what we're looking at and sharing on social media. We got about a minute.
Okay. What I was trying to emphasize in this picture, it's about mostly all the people that have something in this country have lobbyists. When we talk about things that we have needs in our community, we never talk about having a paid lobbyist to do our bidding. And what I was showing here is different folks talking to each other, that's making laws that does not reflect what we need to be getting from us. And that's kind of like what it's about. We need paid lobbyists. We depend on our elected officials. That's okay, but when you have people that you pay to do your bidding, then you should get your results. Some accountability, and that's what you gave me the opportunity to show that off. So thank you again, Insight.
Well, thank you all for being here. Listen, the hour goes so quickly. It's been a wonderful hour, a great walk down memory lane, but I think in doing so, we walk into the future. And I described it at the very opening. This is about the power of now, the power of this moment, and our power to use this moment with intentionality to craft a future in the full awareness and consciousness of history, of antiquity, of a sense of origin, of creation that we represent and we stand in right now. And in that standing, we look at a future, and a future in which we win. And I believe that we're talking about a future in which humanity can win, a future in which the environment can win, a future that reflects our very best as human beings. With that, thank you all for being here. I'm Al McFarlane. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Back to the studio.
To Fresh Air Community Radio. We are KFAI at 90.3 FM in Minneapolis. Online, you can find us at www.kfai.org radio without boundaries. 1 minute now after 2 o'clock in the Twin Cities.